We're being siloed into a bubble. Our likes empower the algorithm. It feeds us what we want, to keep us engaged. It wants to sell our attention. We slip deeper into a constraining narrative. But we must break free. We must burst the bubble. Truths will be learned. Cognitive dissonance will make our hearts and heads ache. Different perspectives will bring us wisdom. Some truths will be hilarious, others painful. But we must be free. We must break into the DisAlgorithm.
Alright, welcome to the DisAlgorithm. We've got some stuff going on today. It looks like Trump is going to be speaking in Florida about the Alligator Alcatraz. So we'll check that out. This is Air Force One. It's going to be hopping off of there any minute. Oh goodness.
I advise you to take a hit out of the little brown bottle in my shaker tin. You won't need much. Just a tiny taste.
What is this?
That stuff makes pure mescaline seem like ginger beer, man.
I remember thinking, Jesus, what a terrible thing to lay on somebody with a head full of acid.
What's up, guys? Benny. You ever heard of the Winged Victory, also known as the Nike of Samothrace? This is the stunning sculpture that sits at the top of a dramatic staircase inside the Louvre, the most prestigious art museum on Earth. The reason why the Winged Victory is in such a position of honor as a sculpture is that it is a masterpiece of Hellenistic art. The statue is considered a masterpiece of a sculpture known for its dynamic pose, intricate drapery, and realistic portrayal of movement and emotion. It captures the spirit of Hellenistic art in dramatic expression. It's also one of the only remaining examples of true Hellenistic art and not a Roman copy. In summary, the Winged Victory is considered priceless, not just because of its monetary value, but because of its significance to artistic merit, cultural symbolism, and historic importance and profound emotional impact on its viewers. That's why, of course, it holds such a place of honor inside of the greatest art museum on Earth. Do you know that also Rachel Ziegler thinks she's the Winged Victory? I just can't get over this clip.
And to everyone who hates when I win,
There he
the
is.
Winged Victory came to the Louvre in pieces, and people still line up to see her. And I can only hope that despite my flaws, and despite my cracks and my breaks, and there are many of them,
Theater kid.
that at every premiere and everything I do, people will wait in line to see.
So what's interesting about this, and, like, if you're just a dingbat 20-year-old actress who was plucked from obscurity thanks to Steven Spielberg, and you're from New Jersey.
And Ron worked beautifully with Christie and all of the people at Homeland Security and got it done in how many days?
8 days, a new facility was up and running, so.
And is this the model going forward, Mr.
It
President?
can be. I mean, you don't always have land so beautiful and so secure. You have a lot of bodyguards and a lot of cops, and in the form of alligators, you're not dependent so much. But I wouldn't want to run through the Everglades for long. We'll keep people where they're supposed to be. This is a very important thing. We're setting records at the board. You know, we had no people come through this. Zero, no people. But we're going to keep it that way. So Ron did great.
Well, look, we thank you, Mr. President. Thanks for your leadership. The border, you did that quicker than we knew you'd do it, but you did it so quick, which is great. But Biden let in how many then you got to take care of them. And so this is one example of state operating this. The feds are approving it, supporting it. We're also going to have 2,000 more at Camp Landing, which is our National Guard site. And we're the only state in the country that mandates our state and locals, law enforcement, to cooperate with ICE. It's made a huge difference. On any given day, Florida constitutes about 20% of all immigration arrests nationwide. So, what I would just say is, don't let Florida be the only state. We've got very red states that should be doing this just as much as Florida's doing. That will increase their numbers. And then what happens is you'll have a lot of people that will deport on their own because they don't want to end up in an Alligator Alcatraz or some of those other places. So I think this is a model, but we need other states to step up.
I was going to ask you, would this be enticing for other states to come up with their own model?
They are doing it. We have Louisiana doing it. I think Alabama's doing it. We have a lot of states. They seem to be red states. I think they're blue states. For whatever reason.
Gee, I wonder.
Republican-run states are doing it. The blue states don't do very well at security and policing. What would you say?
You know, I would say that exactly right. The governor here has been fantastic.
South Dakota should be doing it.
With the Department of Homeland Security. We were looking at different contracts with different vendors and thought, why not go straight to our governors and ask them to help us solve this problem? Florida was unique in what they presented to us, and I would ask every other governor to do the exact same thing. This is unique because we can hold individuals here, they can have their hearings, get due process, and then immediately be flown back home to their home countries. And their
Hearings.
home countries are
Oh my
welcoming
God.
them. They're setting up loans for houses, they've got food assistance, they're helping to facilitate welcoming them home. I just got home from Panama, Costa Rica, Guatemala, Honduras, and they're all excited about getting their individuals back home from the United States. So
There's a lot of self-reporting.
there is.
And I was actually surprised. A lot of self-reporting.
It's cutting out again.
I flew over the Everglades to get a little certain. I said, let me see, that's a big piece of land. Just 25 minutes to find out. Is there potential for enlargement or additional facilities or anything?
There may be. I mean, I think what we're doing is, because this is an important part of Florida, we're using the existing footprint of this airport. So when you guys go over there, you'll see all the beds, the medical, the galley, everything is on the concrete. We're not using any of the other stuff. Now, as you'll see, there's a lot of concrete, so there very well may be. I know Secretary Noem and her team have said,
Hey, it's Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile.
Oh, come on.
Looking for fun
Ads in the middle of a live
offer of unlimited premium
press conference. Are you serious?
we do have the 2,000 in Northeast Florida that will open very soon. So it is possible to do. One of the things I think that is exciting about this is we're offering up our National Guard and other folks in Florida to be deputized to be immigration judges. We're working with the Department of Justice for the approvals. I'm sure Pam will approve. But then I'll have a National Guard judge advocate here. Someone has a notice to appear. Biden would tell them to come back in 3 years and appear. Now you'll be able to appear in like a day or two, so they're not going to be detained hopefully for all that long. We'll have people here in this facility that can make, it's a bureaucracy. The president's got to deal with the bureaucracy. Now that Supreme Court ruling was good because that's going to allow him to be able to exercise Article 2.
Yeah, it was really good.
Intended, but you still have bureaucracy, so we want to cut through that so that we have an efficient operation between Florida and DHS to get the removal of these illegals done.
And are you still prioritizing going after the worst of the worst, or are you now arresting anyone who is here?
The worst of the worst always first. And I think it's great government, what we've done. And nobody can ever forget that this group of people, Biden or whoever it was, Biden, whoever it was, what this group of people, a small group that circled the Resolute desk, what they did to this country. Think of it, what your time, all the time you have to waste doing this. It's an unforced error. We had nothing. We had no problem with this. There was never anything.
Keeps on cutting out. Did they lose it?
Mr. President, 2018, you suggested putting alligators in the Rio Grande to prevent crossings in Texas. Is this a dream come true for you, sir?
thinking about that. It was meant more as a joke, but the more I thought of it, and they were seriously, they were actually crocodiles. They were crocodiles from Africa. They are a step beyond. But no, that was really meant as a joke, but a lot of people liked it. A lot of people think we should do it.
The Senate, it appears, is about to vote on
I hear we're doing well, Ron. I hear we're doing well.
Are you confident this can get done by the 4th?
Oh, we need some sharks. Some freaking lasers on their head. That's what we need.
So I think it's going to be the greatest bill ever passed, even for you as an example. Tremendous amount of homeland security. Tremendous amount. It's going to keep the border secure because we have it secure now. But we need to build more wall. I built almost 600 miles of wall. We need more wall, and all of that's covered in this bill. This bill is amazing for everything. It's an amazing bill for Florida, too. Really great.
You've heard the concerns about the Medicaid cuts, though.
No, we're not going to be playing with that.
An estimated 11.8 million Americans could lose their
The
coverage. Are you
Democrats
breaking
have it
your
wrong.
promise?
Waste, fraud, and abuse. In fact, if you look at what's gone on, we've gone way back. We take care of Medicaid, we take care of Medicare. They will blow Medicare and Medicaid because they have no idea what they're doing. Just like they don't have any idea what they did on the border, they have no idea. Medicaid is in big trouble with the Democrats.
So you can promise anyone who
It's Cloward and Piven. They know what they're doing. It's Cloward and Piven.
Which is what everybody.
They're trying to ruin it.
We'll see what happens. I'm watching it very much. Well, it's going to be a very quick celebration. A great hit. It was a obliteration. And now it turns out it wasn't. They demean CNN mostly in the New York Times, fake New York Times. They demean these great soldiers. They went over there 17 hours flying, and they hit bullseye after bullseye after bullseye. It all blew up. Everybody saw it. Then they get back, and CNN said, "Oh, they did okay, but maybe it wasn't." It was beyond obliteration. Nobody can even get down there. The tunnels are busted. Everything fell into the well. It was a total and complete obliteration, and we should celebrate these heroes. And what I'm doing is I'm bringing them on. We're bringing them to Florida or to the White House. I gave them their choice.
Mr. President, there's going to be a new bill called Make American Elections Great Again, forcing the U.S. Census Bureau to redo the census to actually get an account of how many Americans approved for citizenship are in our area, in our country, redistricting some of the House districts. Your thoughts on that?
Well, I'll speak for both of us. You didn't like this. I know all about it. We want to bring our elections back. The election in 2020 was rigged, millions and millions of votes. It had to do with COVID and buses, but it really had to do with their crooked people. The Democrats are very good at cheating the election. And that's why I said too big to do. They tried this one too. But after about 9:02, they gave up too big to rig. Ron would love it. I would love it. Krista would love it. That's what they have to do. They have to bring it back. And we have to look, Ron, they include anybody that happens to be in your state.
Well, California would lose like 5 seats if they did a fair census. And even beyond that, the Biden census...
California would turn red.
At least 1 seat. We only got 1 seat in the last census. Are you trying to tell me that Florida only had 1 seat in that? We should have had at least 2. Texas should have had another one. That could be the difference in the House of Representatives in the majority. So I would love for them to redo the census for 26. My legislature won't redistrict those lines. We'll get it to where it's fair. But as it's right now, this country is not fairly apportioned. I've got so many more millions of people in Florida that have representation because of that flawed census.
Mr. President,
I think it's going to do very well. A lot of people are going to be very focused. It's captivating. Everybody wants it. It's going to get in. It's going to pass. We're going to be very happy.
Elon Musk is ripping into this bill again. Are you concerned that Republicans are going to be swayed by Musk and his money?
No, I don't think so. I think what's going to happen is Doge is going to look at Musk. And if Doge looks at Musk, we're going to save a fortune. Thank you very much, everybody. I don't think you should be playing that game.
Thank you, Mr. President.
They got that feud going again. Alright, that was it. Well, no, he's going to be speaking at the conference, so we'll just mute that and keep an eye. Keep an eye on it. Let's see. How do I put this on one tab again? Maybe I can't. I don't know. Wrong one. Mother. Alright. Just have that in the background.
And you really, like, you got nothing going for you. Except for the Hollywood movies that you ruined. Like, it's probably best just not to compare yourself to priceless, historic art that is truly culturally relevant and has inspired awe throughout all of history. It's just going to seem a slight tad narcissistic, and then it's going to be even more narcissistic for you to say that people are going to line up and watch you the way that they do line up to see this famous piece of art.
No one has ever lined up for you.
Right?
What are you
that,
talking
of course,
about?
Transcends culture and beauty. And then what's going to be even worse is that if you star in movies that no one sees.
Yeah, no one's lining up for you anyways, ever.
Heels of comments like that. And what's wild is that Rachel Ziegler, and this is, I just still can't believe it's real, posted a video of her in an empty theater watching her own winged victory. Ladies and gentlemen, the Snow White nightmare, Rachel Ziegler in the empty theater shrieking at the sight of her own name. So I guess someone was waiting in line to see Rachel Ziegler. It was Rachel Ziegler.
No.
Okay, well, at least there's someone. Okay. Love yourself as much as Rachel Ziegler loves herself. Snow White becomes Disney's worst performing live-action remake in decades. It bombed so badly at the box office that Disney had to put another live-action princess remake on ice. That's right. They've actually killed the entire genre. She's a genre-killing disaster. They got rid of the whole Rapunzel race swap they were planning.
Oh, geez.
So Guatemalan Snow White.
They're going to race swap Rapunzel.
Gentlemen, it still has a 2 out of 10 on IMDb. It has a 39% on Rotten Tomatoes. Oh boy, and that's from the paid shills in the media. So how bad is it really? Goodness gracious. I mean, it's a real nightmare. And we said that maybe this disaster has caused Rachel Ziegler to spiral, because we did catch her out on the streets looking like a homeless person. I mean, seriously, if you saw this, you'd say, you know, do I need to give you $1? Probably. I mean, no one's going to make their money back on this Snow White movie. But now we've learned that Rachel Ziegler was actually on meds, in fact, because of Snow White. Whoa. Rachel Ziegler reveals a psychiatrist anxiety meds helped her deal with the Snow White backlash. Uh-oh. Rachel Ziegler revealed that therapy and anxiety medication helped her overcome the monumental backlash she received to starring in Disney's live-action Snow White remake. The 24-year-old actress opened up about the controversy, how she moved past it, in an interview with a magazine. Okay. My effing psychiatrist has seen me through all of it. Wow. Let's go ahead and read, shall we? Because here's the actual magazine. I don't really understand. I don't know what this magazine is, but here it is, ladies and gentlemen. ID magazine, I guess. Rachel Ziegler, theater kid, based princess. They're calling her based now. Words have no more meaning.
Yeah.
After breaking records on Broadway, the 24-year-old's actor is playing her dream part in London's West End. No amount of bullying or scandal can change that. Meh! See? Gotcha, haters.
You have something in your home right now that could make you thousands of dollars.
It's just people reacting to her and what she was saying. She brought it all on herself.
The first image here, like what exactly is this? You know, I mean, I'm sure it's like a set, but like, could you have gotten like non-rotten fruit inside of whatever this is? This is what we need. More close-ups of Rachel. Thank you, Rachel Ziegler. This is what we needed. We needed Rachel Ziegler to get real. We haven't had enough of that. You see, that's the problem.
So real.
I'm a theater kid that got everything she wanted. Yes, we're aware of that, Rachel. We get it. We really do. Okay, let's get down here to the nuts and bolts, shall we? When shit really hit the fan, she left New York to go home to New Jersey, where all Disney princesses come from, spending time with her family and her dog. My effing psychiatrist has seen me through all of it, she says. She needed someone to remind her that what you're going through isn't normal. And she said that sentence did just wonders for her in multiple situations in her life. She got medicated. It was truly a game changer because I just wasn't functioning. And I wanted to function in a way that made me feel confident, in a way that I was moving through the world. Soon she was able to rationalize things that previously felt big and insurmountable. There's framing online that Ziegler, a self-defined victim of it all, I think a victim mindset is a choice. And I don't choose it. You don't choose it. Rachel Ziegler doesn't choose the victim mindset. Really. You know who disagrees with that is, Rachel Ziegler.
And there are 18 hours in a dress of an iconic Disney princess. I deserve to be paid for every hour that it is streamed online.
I don't choose the victim mindset. It's just, if I'm going to have to stand in a Disney princess dress, then I need to be paid. Because I am the victim, having to stand in princess dress. But literally what every little girl dreams of in their life, I am now a victim. I also don't choose nastiness in the face of it. I don't choose negativity in the face of it. I choose positivity and light and happiness. And I do believe at times happiness is absolutely a choice. And every day I wake up and I think of how lucky to live the life I live. I don't choose nastiness. Yeah, Rachel Ziegler doesn't choose nastiness. She just
it would be good if she
trashes
was
her co-stars in the film
actually
here.
doing all that.
Says that the original Snow White is like stalker material.
With a guy who literally stalks her.
Yeah.
Weird.
Super weird.
So we didn't do that this time.
So no prince or a different kind of prince?
We have a different approach to what I'm sure a lot of people will assume is a love story just because like we cast a guy in the movie.
Right.
Andrew Burnap, great dude.
Yeah.
It's one of those things that I think everyone's going to have their assumptions about what it's actually going to be, but it's really not about the love story at all, which is really, really wonderful. And whether or not she finds love along the way is anybody's guess until 2024. All of Andrew's scenes could get cut. Who knows? It's Hollywood, baby.
Funny watching that clip because Disney actually stopped the release of this film for an entire year to try and do damage control for this interview. It's Hollywood, baby. Yeah.
It's Hollywood, baby.
But don't worry, I stay positive. I choose happiness
she learned that.
through all of it. You know, it's amazing. It's Hollywood,
Hopefully
baby.
she learned that.
You know, Rachel, it is Hollywood. Snow White's producer's son, says Rachel Ziegler, voicing her personal politics, hurt the film's box office in Instagram post. Mark Platt blamed Rachel Ziegler for dragging her personal politics in the middle of promoting a movie and then railed on her for promoting divisive politics in a total affront to her co-stars. My dad, the producer of an enormous piece of Disney IP and hundreds of millions of dollars on the line, had to leave his family to fly across the country to reprimand his 20-year-old employee for dragging her personal politics into the middle of promoting a movie, and she signed a multi-million-dollar contract to get paid to do publicity for. This is called adult responsibility and accountability. Her actions clearly hurt the film's box office. It's Hollywood, baby. But just a reminder, Rachel Ziegler is not the victim. And she only chooses positivity. Okay? Yeah. Maybe that's some of the anxiety.
She should choose some humility
for a career. Which, by the
she
way, in
would
the article,
benefit
she says, you know what?
from
So
choosing
what?
some humility.
If this is what brings my downfall, then great. Ladies and gentlemen, somebody shows you who they are.
Let me check over here, see if anything's going on. No. Let me turn this up though so we can hear if it does. Alright.
Leave them when somebody claps like a seal for themselves inside of a theater that nobody's in by herself, calls herself a priceless piece of art, then maybe that's not the kind of person that you should be betting hundreds of millions of dollars on. Or dating. Or anything. Got it? Okay. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, it's your boy Benny. Like, share, and subscribe for more good news. See ya.
It's your boy Benny. Benny Johnson. He's always got good videos. Alright, I'm gonna go over to X. See what's happening. Alright. New York City signs $1 billion deal to continue giving illegals free hotel rooms. Oh, great. The Roosevelt Hotel is officially closed, but New York City is now simply moving migrants into homeless shelters and telling city workers it's illegal to share info with ICE.
Now, the city of Savannah Hernandez standing in front of the now closed Roosevelt Hotel, and if you guys remember this area, this was truly the epicenter of the illegal immigration crisis in New York since 2022. And this is the first time I reported in front of this area, and it hasn't been completely surrounded by illegal immigrants. Now, a lot of people are celebrating that these hotels are finally shut down, but the reality of the matter is that migrants are simply being moved into federally funded homeless shelters throughout New York at this point. Now, the city of New York just signed a $1 billion contract for emergency shelter services throughout New York, and as of January of this year, Adams himself stated that around 51,000 illegal immigrants were still utilizing city shelter services. And the contract that they just signed was for the 86,000 people that are still experiencing homelessness in New York. And that includes, of course, New Yorkers and illegal immigrants. Now, something interesting that's going on as well. The Department of Homeless Services is actually instructing their employees not to cooperate with ICE at all. They're stating not to tell ICE or law enforcement officials the immigration status of anybody in the homeless shelter system. On top of that, they're stating that an ICE detainer is not even enough to allow access into homeless facilities throughout New York. So this is one of the ways that illegal immigrants are still being sheltered in this city. And just to recap as well, New York has already spent $7 billion on the illegal immigration crisis for free hotel rooms, free medical care, food, transportation. Let's not forget that 47,000 free plane tickets were given to illegal immigrants since 2022, so they could fly from New York City to anywhere in the United States of America that they wanted.
Yeah, but they'll just tax the rich, you guys. They can just tax the rich. It's free money.
To fly from New York City to Georgia to go and commit that horrific crime. So that's what's been going on in New York since 2022. Again, these shelter systems are being closed down, but the Department of Homeless Services still instructing their employees not to cooperate with ICE, and a $1 billion contract now signed to continue these emergency shelter services throughout New York City. So just an idea of what is going on in the streets of New York.
Crazy. It's not Islamophobia to notice that a man who wants to globalize the Intifada is about to run America's largest and once greatest city. It's not Islamophobia to notice that Muslims want to import values into the West that seek to destabilize our civilization. It's cultural suicide to stay silent. Alright. Cool. J.K. Rowling's gloats at pedophile who slated her for her trans views as he is jailed for for raping a boy. Oh my gosh. Remember, just because you're ugly doesn't mean you're another gender. Oh, enjoy. No one's gonna take me alive. Time has come to make things right. You and I must fight for our rights. You and I must fight to survive. Yeah, they took a lot of stuff out of the big beautiful bill that was good. Now they're just voting on some garbage. Still don't know if it was good to give Brad Pitt a Jamaican accent. That was back when no one cared about this kind of crap.
Obia. No, mama. Obia, man.
And he was...
I'm going to die. No, be a sister. No devil, no dopey. Everything going to be irie.
He was playing death.
Go over to Dr. Lady Mom. Going to be fine now. Don't leave. Don't leave me.
She'll be right back.
Okay. Obia. Right. Be evil and not evil, oh man. And what you is then? I from that next place. You waiting here to take us? Like you's the bus driver to there? No, man, I on holiday. Obia. No, mama. Obia, man. I'm going to die. No.
That's funny. Let's see. What do we got here?
Passes. What's your reaction? You guys famously tangled in the White House.
I admire Elon's leadership on rockets. I will take care of the finances.
Passes. What's your reaction? You guys famously tangled in the White House.
Reduce pressure. I think we're going to get there. I think that that there are so many good things as a part of this bill. We've got to pass it. No tax on tips. No tax on overtime. Reduce pressure for seniors on Social Security. There are so many things that are important. And if we don't pass the bill, we're going to see an average 68% tax increase on America's working families. We can't have that. We have a lot of opportunity right now. I think people across the conference, both in the Senate and the House, recognize just how important it is for us to deliver on the America First promises that were made during the campaign. I think we're going to get there. I think that that there are so...
100,000 children were smuggled in this country. The cartels don't care. The last administration, over 500,000 children were smuggled in this country, separated from their families, put in the hands of criminal cartels to be smuggled in the country. If I leave my child in a car while I go to get groceries, I'll get arrested. But your last administration couldn't locate 300,000 of them. Why is anybody talking about that? You want to call ICE harmless, but you want to give the last administration a pass for opening the border up. 500,000 kids smuggled in this country, and we can't find them. We're out there right now trying to save them. We found thousands of them, thousands. And many of them are safety and security. They're with family members. Some aren't. Some are in sex trafficking. Some are in forced labor trafficking. But we're the bad guys. And for all these Democrats on Hill that want to scream and yell about Trump and what ICE is doing
evil
right
to
now,
send them
where were you
home,
when
don't you know?
300,000 children can't be found that you released to unvetted sponsors? Where were you then? Silence. But all of a sudden, we're the bad guys. The cartels don't care. The last administration, over 500,000 children were smuggled in this country, separated.
DeSantis got the De Niro list. That's funny. I don't know if you can see that. De Niro's list. That's what it looked like when I was out camping. Looked nice. Alright. I'm gonna hit this conference. Still taking a while.
Tiger King, Joe Exotic. And Joe Exotic, there was a guy by the name of Joe Maldonado, I hope I'm saying that right, the Tiger King, Joe Exotic. And Joe Exotic and I become very close friends. I become, in a way, he's become a personal confidant of mine. He's helped me out with stuff. He's given me media training, believe it or not. He's a guy that I actually aspire to be like, and I don't want to be gay like him and have my boyfriend accidentally shoot himself. There's some stuff I don't want to be associated with, but a lot of it I think is more positive than negative. So my point is, the guy was arrested for allegedly paying a hitman. The hitman happened to have a drug history and said that under oath that he was told by Joe Exotic to 86 this Carol Baskin. That's all loosey-goosey. Maybe that's true, and let's say it is true. He has been in prison for almost 8 years now. In the Constitution, it says there is no such thing as cruel and unusual punishment. I think Joe Exotic would be the only example of a person going to jail, and after he goes to jail, not before. There's been plenty of celebrities before they went to prison that were famous and then went to jail, but I don't believe there's many celebrities that became famous after they were in prison. So A, he wasn't able to use any of his fame or money on his criminal defense, and B, I said this earlier on 2 nights ago or last night, America's all about second chances. So he doesn't even get a second chance to go out there with all the money and success that he could have gotten from this episode and actually gone out there and done some good for the community and maybe paid some restitution. Instead, he's locked up in jail. So my point is, I begged Alex Brucewitz, I've begged Laura Trump, I've talked to Eagle Ed Martin, and I've talked to any representative I can talk to about Joe Exotic getting a pardon. So, Rep. Burleson, do you endorse Joe Exotic getting a pardon and released from jail after serving 8 years in a federal penitentiary?
I'll have to look at the case a little bit further, but I will say I do agree with you that if he had been prosecuted after the Tiger King show had come out, my bet is he probably wouldn't have been convicted.
No way.
No way. And so I do think that he has a lot to say. I think that Carol Baskins may have killed her husband.
That's not a good thing.
I want to know where is the investigation there. But yeah, I'll have to look at that in more detail.
Well, I wish you would have got the full endorsement. Now show us three. That's enough of Joe. You're distracting me looking at that tiger. No, we would have. I know Joe watches the show every night. We would have liked to get the full endorsement, but we're going to have you look into it, and I'm going to be on it. If we get enough people, we can make this happen. Yes, sir.
I mean, he brought a lot of goodwill to the world.
When the world is crashing, not only was he the #1 guy on a TV show, but he was the #1 guy on a TV show when the world was the weakest, when we needed an icon, when we needed not a Hollywood celebrity. We didn't want George Clooney telling Joe Biden you're retarded. We didn't need that. We got enough of that. We needed the white trash guy that has a tiger farm, that's a homosexual, but it doesn't matter if you're conservative or liberal. You like him anyway because he's a badass.
I did.
I'm saying
That-
he was there for us when we needed him the most, and right now he's rotting in a prison, and I can't get him out, and it's making me crazy, Rep.
I hear you, Alex. I hear you.
I just hope President Trump hears me.
Still nothing. Mm-hmm. Live a minute with a preview of what's coming for New York. Yep. Yep.
Democratic National Convention. First Lady Michelle Obama. She begins by describing her father and Barack Obama's grandmother as decent people, hardworking people who sacrificed for her families. And then she says this.
So when it comes to rebuilding our economy, Barack is thinking about folks like my dad and like his grandmother. He's thinking about the pride that comes from a hard day's work. That's why he signed the Lilly Ledbetter Fair Pay Act, to help women get equal pay for equal work.
His face.
That's why he
The quality of this video is really bad, but you can see his eyes rolling in the back of his head.
Industry back on its feet. That's how he brought our economy from the brink of collapse to creating jobs again. Jobs you can raise a family on, good jobs, right here in the United States of America.
President Obama is giving us, quote, jobs you can raise a family on. Tom?
You know, it's like someone once said, it's like being a mosquito at a nudist colony. You don't know where to start. I mean, we're not going to be in the air long enough for me to dissect all the falsehoods that this woman has put into those few words.
Give us one.
Oh, okay, the jobs that you can raise a family on. The new jobs that are being created are disproportionately very low-income jobs. So I don't know how you're going to be raising a family on minimum wage type jobs or flipping hamburgers at McDonald's. The other thing is that what is implicit in all of this is that the economy has no recuperative powers of its own. That all the benefits, all whatever recovery there have been, has been due to Barack Obama.
It's like the scene of Genesis where he's breathing life into the clay of the economy.
That's it. That's it. Now, anyone who studied history knows that for the first 150 years of this country, the federal government did not intervene when the economy turned down. And all that time, the downturns all corrected themselves. One of the most classic examples was on the Warren G. Harding. When his first year in office, he found the unemployment rate at 11.7%. He did absolutely nothing. And he did not spend more government money, he cut back government spending. The Federal Reserve had the interest rates up at 6 or 7%, not down at 1% where they are now. The next year, unemployment was at 6.7%. The year after that, it was 2.4%. So the economy has recuperative powers. I mean, employers have an incentive to hire people. Workers have an incentive to get jobs. Lenders have incentives to lend.
Is it your
they
argument?
don't need somebody in Washington trying to micromanage all of this.
Your argument is not only weak form of the argument. We don't need Barack Obama to breathe life into the economy because it'll recover on its own sooner or later.
If Barack Obama stays out of the way.
That's what I'm saying. The strong form of the argument is...
Are we starting?
Okay. Hi everyone, we're gonna move to our next stop, right this way.
Okay.
Thank you, Press. Okay, Press, let's keep going. Come on, guys. Run. Run, Press.
Alright, we're getting set up.
Ms. Barack Obama has actually been holding it down.
No question. I mean, there's never been a recovery other than that of the Great Depression of the 1930s that took so long. Under Ronald Reagan, in the early years got up to 9.7% annual unemployment. He did absolutely nothing. The media went crazy. The unemployment came down, and it kept right on coming down.
Right. All right. So, common sense. Use your head. One common sense question is, what went wrong? How did we get into this mess in the first place? And Bill Clinton, once again at the Democratic National Convention, explained the answer.
Yes.
In Tampa, the Republican argument against the president re-election was actually pretty simple, pretty snappy. It went something like this. We left him a total mess. He hadn't cleaned it up fast enough, so fire him and put us back in.
The Republicans created the mess.
This shows that Clinton is truly a masterful politician. And to be a masterful politician, you have to have a lot of brass. And it takes an incredible amount of brass for Bill Clinton, who was the biggest factor in creating the housing boom that led to the bust that brought down the whole economy. It was during the Clinton administration that the federal government forced lenders to change their lending standards, which had been in place for decades and had made real estate one of the safest investments around. Bring those standards down in order that they can get the numbers that they want for low income, minority, etc., mortgage applicants.
Barney Frank, the ranking Democrat on the House committee that oversaw Freddie Mac and Fannie Mae, said, quote, "I'm willing to roll the dice on Freddie and Fannie," meaning
he'd be willing to take the chance that the standards were being brought down too low. More than that, Attorney General Janet Reno under Clinton threatened lenders with legal action from the Justice Department if their numbers, in terms of groups and income levels of people who were approved, didn't fit her preconceptions. HUD under Clinton made lawsuits against lenders, charging them with racial discrimination based solely upon statistics.
So Tom, give me for the layman a 3-sentence summary, a soundbite kind of summary of what caused the mess we're in. It was not a failure of the market. It was a failure of
the government forcing people to lower the lending standards that had existed for years. And they said, well, the problem was blamed on greed. You don't satisfy greed by lending to people who can't pay you back.
All right. You insist once again that if we base this election on the facts, the Obama administration would be, quote, doomed. But listen to President Obama himself, last clip from the Democratic National Convention.
If you believe that new plants and factories can dot our landscape, that new energy can power our future, that new schools can provide ladders of opportunity to this nation of dreamers, if you believe in a country where everyone gets a fair shot and everyone does their fair share and everyone plays by the same rules, then I need you to vote this November.
All right, new plants and factories, new energy, new schools, and a fair shot. What's wrong with that?
I wonder if the fair shot includes the taxpayers. But we've had factories before there was Barack Obama. Hard as that is to believe, and we've had less of it since he came in.
Okay, Tom. So let me ask this question, which is politically incorrect, which makes it all the more important to ask. Some component of the voting public voted for him last time around as an act of national expiation because they felt, and I frankly, I could feel it myself. We were all proud, even those of us who supported the opponent, all felt proud the following day that the United States of America, the Constitution takes slavery into account, the Civil War, but finally we have a black man as President of the United States. All right, that's perfectly understandable. We know that took place.
I fell for that.
4 years later, what about the argument that it is so important for him to get this right, so important as a continuation of this national act of expiation and healing and so forth, that in some way it's only right to give him, frankly, more slack than you might.
Affirmative action for president.
Well, there you go. I suppose that's what it amounts to. I guess you don't buy that one.
Well, when you realize that the president of the United States,
They're trying to do that with Kamala.
300 million people in his hands.
Yeah, still nothing. I was just checking because I couldn't hear anything.
He has the future of Western civilization in his hands.
Kamala would have been that DEI president.
Over the centuries in his hands, and he's already starting to dismantle that. I really don't think it's a question of any individual, whoever's in the White House, being cut any slack. The last thing you need to do is cut slack to people who have power over 300 million other people.
I'm not trying to be rude. She was only picked, though, because of her race and gender. That's the only qualification she got. Everything she did was a disaster. She couldn't talk to people. She was unlikable. She was nasty. She was a district attorney from California that locked up black people at a larger rate than anyone has ever done before. And, she was just a vile woman that even the innocent men that she knew were innocent, she didn't let go because she wanted her record of perfect prosecution. She's nasty. Nasty and a drunk.
Cut some slack for those 300 million people.
And a whore. She only got her position because she sucked off that mayor. Bobby Brown or whatever his name was.
Spending, anti-Semitism, and a weak America. That's what the Mamdani is now the face of the Democratic Party, along with AOC and Jasmine Crockett and Bernie Sanders.
Go for
this
it.
This is the face of the modern Democratic Party. It's not what the American people want. They do not want a party that is open borders, inflationary spending, anti-Semitism, and a weak America. That's what the modern Democratic Party has become. Mamdani is now the face of the Democratic Party, along with AOC and Jasmine Crockett, Bernie Sanders.
All right, let's break into the DisAlgorithm. Let's get some different viewpoints here. So I'm going to pop the bubble, go to a different feed, and see what they're saying over here.
President Trump was getting bad counsel on the reconciliation bill. Senator Tillis from the floor yesterday seemed to suggest President Trump was getting bad counsel on the effects of the bill. Is President Trump aware of the analyses, and there are several of these, that suggest if rural hospitals potentially close, if there are Medicaid patients in the millions that become ineligible for that?
Yes, and that claim is just simply untrue. Rural hospitals comprise 7% of all hospital spending on Medicaid, and that illustrates that they have not benefited from the massive increase of waste, fraud, and abuse under the Biden administration. So this bill strengthens Medicaid. It will protect those benefits that hardworking Americans need, and that's why the president wants this bill to pass. The senator was wrong. The president put out a Truth Social post addressing it, and then the senator announced he's no longer running for office anymore. So I think that case has been closed, and the White House is continuing to focus on getting this legislation to the president's desk for his signature. Go ahead.
She lies, she lies, she lies and lies. People will die because of these cuts. She doesn't care. Smiles for the cameras instead. That's such a great argument.
The reconciliation bill to the arms. I make this motion to commit the reconciliation bill to the Armed Services Committee on behalf of myself and Senator Schumer, because President Trump earlier this year solicited and accepted a $200 million gift from the government of Qatar a Boeing 747 jet to be retrofitted supposedly for use as Air Force One. Make no mistake, this transfer is illegal. It's a blatant violation of the Constitution's Emolument Clause, which prohibits exactly this kind of foreign gift, risking undue foreign influence. It's also abhorrently wasteful, costing taxpayers at least $1.5 billion to strip it down and install all the necessary security systems. And it won't even be ready before the end of Trump's term. And now we learn from the Air Force Secretary just last week that the money will be transferred from modernization of our nuclear arsenal, the Sentinel Intercontinental Ballistic Missile Program. It is a sacrifice of our national security. Illegal, exorbitantly costly, dangerous to our national defense. We should stand up to this corrupt self-dealing. This motion, which I've worked on with Senators Schumer and Schatz, would send the bill back to the Armed Services Committee with instruction to add a prohibition on using funds for this unconstitutional, wasteful self-enrichment. I yield the floor.
I kind of agree with him. We shouldn't be taking gifts from any country like that. So Senator Blumenthal just forced a vote to send Trump's big, beautiful bill back to the committee so Dems can add a ban on using taxpayer funds to accept foreign jet as Air Force One. Genius move to get every Republican senator on record about Trump's foreign plane. I kind of agree with him with that. We shouldn't be accepting gifts like that. Why? Why are the average Americans paying federal taxes if none of our tax money is going to be used to improve our lives? I don't know about you, but I don't work to give handouts to billionaires. If the GOP is going to cut all the programs we pay for, why should we pay? That's what we've been saying. No more taxes. No more taxes. Is anyone surprised to learn that the parents of Wes Rowley, the scumbag shooter who ambushed and shot firefighters and first responders in Idaho, anyone surprised to learn that these are the parents of Wes Rowley? He wasn't a drag queen. He wasn't an immigrant. Also, not surprising. Yeah, his parents were MAGA. So, what does that have to do with anything? Does that mean he was MAGA? What are you trying to say? Yeah, some kids are rotten. They raised a bad kid, obviously. But what was he into? You know, he was a 20-year-old man that made decisions for himself. His parents probably tried to steer him the right way, you know. I don't know what that has to do with anything. I guess what he's trying to say is the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. Which is true, but sometimes you have rotten apples that get brainwashed. It sounds like they're doing something over there. So let's go take a look. Oh. Alright, this is all dumb. In the past 24 hours, Trump threatened Elon Musk, Tom Massey, Japan, a judge in Israel, the CEO at AT&T, Jerome Powell, Canada, Tom Tillis, a Forbes reporter at Harvard, and migrants with being eaten by Burmese pythons in the Everglades while releasing a new line of clones. Cool. He didn't threaten them. Didn't threaten them like leftists do on here every day.
About betraying the American people. And so many, I believe that the problem with this bill is that our Republican colleagues are more afraid of the president than they are in working with their constituents. The White House even said it last night. They said voting against this bill, in their words, would be a betrayal of the president, and they're threatening primaries, all kinds of things. I think they should be more worried about betraying the American people. And so many of our Republican colleagues
We
care about
voted
the
for
dead.
him.
The ones in rural are especially focused on making sure that we've got rural grocery stores, which, by the way, half of the counties that only have one grocery store are in the Midwest. So they better vote their constituents. And this was a procedural vote. It got us on the bill. Then we had the bill read, because there's no way they could have read it, because it's 940 pages. Now we're in the middle of debate, and we are going to have the chance to have these amendments so they could still change this bill. I believe that the problem with this bill is that
Man, I wish we were this good at stopping the Democrats with their bullcrap. But we never stop them.
Please welcome the 45th and 47th President of the United States, Donald J. Trump.
Oh man, the audio on this. It's just the left side.
Thank you very much. They've done a fantastic job. Even the microphone works well. That's good. Wow. Well, I'd like to just thank everybody for the incredible job they've done. I love the state. As you know, Ron and I have had a really great relationship for a long time. We had a little off period for a couple of days, but it didn't last long. It didn't last long, and a lot of respect for each other. And it's a great honor to be deep in Florida, the Florida Everglades, to open America's newest migrant detention center. It's incredibly built, and you're seeing that yourself. That's why
I'm sorry, I'm trying to find
let the press
something.
join us on our walk so they can see what's happening. It's known as
better
Alligator
sound.
Alcatraz, which is very appropriate because I looked outside.
Today,
and that's
data is power
place I
and
went for
insight
hiking anytime.
is currency. Purdue's online master's
Very
degree in
soon,
data science isn't just about crunching numbers, it's about understanding the stories they tell.
People on the planet, we're surrounded by miles of treacherous swampland, and the only way out is really deportation. And a lot of these people are self-deporting back to their country where they came from. Quite a few. We're amazed at actually the number. We took the FEMA money that Joe Biden allocated to pay for the free luxury hotel rooms, where he's paying hundreds of millions of dollars in New York City, and we used it to build this project. And Ron, it was just a little fraction of that money. The money they spent on that project, I happen to know the real estate developer. He's a he never really made that much, but he became very wealthy. With luxury, he didn't do well. With people that are not exactly luxury, he's made a fortune. I want to thank Florida Governor Ron DeSantis and Secretary of Homeland Security Kristi Noem and Florida Attorney General James Uthmire. Where is James? Where is he? You do a very good job. I hear good things. I hear good things about you from Ron too. No, you really do. He's even a good-looking guy. That guy's got a future, huh? Good job, James. I hear you're really, really.
He said
fantastic.
Ron,
Worked
not
hard.
Iran.
You're like in the construction business for a few days, right? Congratulations for all the hard work and to make this facility possible. It's amazing. Thanks as well to Florida Agricultural Commissioner Wilton Simpson. Where is Wilton? Where are you, Will? Hi, Wilton. Been a long time. Thank you. Congressman Byron Donalds. Where's Byron? Hi, Byron. How are you? Good. Florida Speaker of the House, Daniel Perez. Daniel? Daniel, thank you, Daniel. Why, you didn't want to sit up here with us, Daniel? Executive Director of the Florida Division of Emergency Management, Kevin Guthrie. Hi, Kevin. Good job. Acting Director of ICE, Todd Lyons. Todd, great job. And Senator Joe Gruters. He is a great guy. Where is Joe? We love Joe. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you, Joe. Joe is great. With the help of those incredible Border Patrol agents, we now have the lowest level of daily border crossings ever recorded. As you know, last month, the month of May, just got released 2 days ago, the number of illegal aliens into the United States was zero. Zero. Even I find that hard.
For the whole month?
Somebody must have gotten it, I think. I don't know, but they say zero. And the people that count
Wow.
them, radical left Democrats. So when a radical left Democrat tells me it's zero, I believe him. But there's still much work to do. In the 4 years before I took office, Joe Biden allowed 21 million people, that's a minimum, I think it was much higher than that, illegal aliens to invade our country. He invaded our country just like a military would invade. It's tougher because they don't wear uniforms. You don't know who they are. More than the populations of New York City, Los Angeles, Chicago, Houston, Phoenix, and Philadelphia combined. That's what came into our country from prisons, from mental institutions, from street gangs, drug dealers. It's disgusting. This enormous country-destroying invasion has swamped communities nationwide with massive crime, crippling costs, and burdens far beyond what any nation could withstand. No nation could withstand what we did. And we're in the
Look
process
at Europe.
of doing it.
Look
but
what's
we have some
happening to them.
great people doing it now, and you see them up here with me. But it's,
They wish they had Trump.
I'd call it like an unforced era. It's sort of like men and women sports. It's sort of like transgender for everybody. How could they have done this to our country? And we're never going to forget it. Last year, 15% of all the hotel rooms in New York City were used to house illegal aliens at costs that they never got for luxury. They never got this much for luxury people coming in from the wealthiest places on earth. They made more money with the illegal immigrants, with many rooms costing more than $300 a night, 6 times the rent of a typical American family. In Denver, Colorado, the city was forced to cut $10 million from its police and fire department budget as part of a $90 million plan to house illegal aliens. And it's a population that's growing and growing and destroying Denver and growing. And again, it's destroying Denver.
Destroying
and
Colorado.
It's destroying many other cities, too. Likewise, one of the city's largest hospital system is drowning in unpaid medical bills, unpaid in the billions, after their emergency rooms were flooded with tens of thousands of illegals, leading to the closure of critical services. And these are really critical services. They can't even keep them open for American patients. The American patients were treated worse than any illegal immigrant. In Los Angeles, 1 in every 4 students in the public school system is from a household headed by an illegal, and most of them don't speak English, so they're in a school system, and they don't have interpreters, they don't have anything, they don't speak English. What a mess, what a mess. Unforced error, all these people allowed to come in. The United States is now spending $78 billion a year on translation. Okay, think of that, $78 billion a year on translation, and smaller numbers on special education programs for non-English speakers in our public schools. So $78 billion, I think that's not a mistake. I would say $1 million maybe, hundreds of thousands of dollars, $78 billion, Joe, on translators and non-English speaking work. Federal government, the Justice Department, it's more than twice the cost of maintaining the United States Justice Department, what we're spending on translation and other things to help. In total, the average illegal alien costs American taxpayers an estimated $70,000. That's each, $70,000. I think that number is even low. If you care about balancing the budget, the single most impactful step we can take is to fully reverse the Biden migration invasion. One of the worst invasions we've ever had. We've never had an invasion like this. We've had invasions, but we've taken care of them. We've never had an invasion like this, and it's with us. And we have some very bad people out there looking to do big harm. That's why the one big, beautiful bill includes funding for 3,000 new Border Patrol officers and 10,000 new ICE agents. And I've gotten to know the Border Patrol and ICE very well. Unlike Kamala, she was the border czar, but she never saw the border. She never made one phone call. She was some border czar. She would have been some president. Probably would have been slightly better than Biden, though.
I don't know about that.
You know, the one guy, it's like a fighter. You knock out the one guy who's doing badly, then they put somebody else in. But fortunately, she was a stiff also. Otherwise, I would have been very angry. I would have been extremely angry. The heroes of ICE will also help round up and remove members of the savage drug cartels, which are coming back into our country. And we got them out. Now, some of them came back in. We just got them out again. And that's going to be a vicious cycle. But these are foreign gangs. They're horrendous people, killers, that have infiltrated our territory, including 8 which we have designated as foreign terrorist organizations, which gives us a lot more power for speed and getting them out much easier. And we had a great court victory, as you know, on Friday that allows us to do what we have to do from the Supreme Court of the United States. In 5 months, my administration has already arrested over 2,700 members of the murderous Venezuelan gang known as Tren de Aragua, including a pack of these sadistic animals arrested last month with over 280 guns. And these are guns of the latest caliber. These are guns that were made over the last period of less than a year, getting brand new guns, the latest and the greatest. Every day, our brave law enforcement officers are hunting down and deporting migrant criminals who have committed heinous crimes, including more than 13,000 murderers, 11,888 to be exact, but I'd probably say the 13,000 is right also. Think of it, 11,888, and more than half of them, they committed more than one murder. So, Ron, many of them are out of here already, but it's still it's a hell of a number to be confronted with. Just this year, ICE agents in Miami have apprehended illegals with arrests for murder, kidnapping, rape, child sexual abuse, and arson, people of the worst order. We're getting these monsters out of the United States, out of Florida, out of all the places that they're in. And on January 20th, I signed an executive order empowering governors and state police to be deputized to enforce federal immigration laws, and Ron's already taken advantage of it. It's a tremendous advantage for the states. Most of them are doing it. Actually, the blue states tend not to do it. Even a couple of them have, though. And I want to express my tremendous thanks to the state of Florida for embracing this opportunity and being a true partner. They've worked so well with the federal government. It's been just a beautiful, beautiful partnership. So, Ron, I'd like to thank you personally. You are my friend, and you'll always be my friend. And we may have some skirmishes even in the future. I doubt it, but I will always come back because we just we have blood that seems to match pretty well. We have a relationship that's been a very strong one for a long period of time, and I appreciate it, very much appreciate it. And also, Secretary Noem, I'd like to say, have you say a few words. You have been unbelievable, the job you've done. You and our favorite person, Tom Homan, have done, and your whole staff, because it's a lot of people, and Tom acknowledges it all the time. He respects you so much. He respects the staff that you both built. And you're really doing one of the great jobs. And it was great that you could work with Ron in Florida so well. Built such a great facility. So please say a few words. Thank you very much.
I don't know if this will work. Well, thank you, Mr. President. First of all, I want to thank you for putting the safety and the security of the American people first, and the way that you never lose focus on making sure that America stays our priority and that the families that live here get the chance to grow up and to raise their children in communities that are safe and that give them an opportunity to pursue the American dream. This facility here is a fantastic representation of what can happen when all of government works together and when it's accountable to the taxpayers and to the citizens that live here. The president signed an executive order that allowed us to build partnerships with states and with local law enforcement officers, which is exactly how things should function in this country. More power, more authority given to people locally so that they can take control of their own destiny. And so we have already been working under the 287G program to deputize law enforcement officers, whether they be state highway patrol, local sheriff's departments in all of our states, and allow them to go out with our ICE officers, our Border Patrol officers, and make sure that we're getting the worst of the worst off of the streets. We also recognize that as we've been doing that and returning people back to their home countries, that we need detention facilities. We need beds to put them in place so that they can have their due process before they return home. And this facility is exactly what I want every single governor in this country to consider doing with us. What happened to start this conversation was that a young man named Jimmy Percival in my office, my general counsel, who came from Florida and used to work here, called up the Attorney General and the governor and said, hey, what do you think about partnering with us on a detention facility that we could put in place that would allow us to bring individuals there? There's an airstrip close by. You guys volunteered the assets that you have and the connections that you have and worked with Kevin extensively so that we could come here, have their due process given, and return them home to their countries. And in 8 days, this facility has been stood up. And I want everybody to recognize that detention facilities that ICE adheres to is a higher standard than is required at state levels, at local Department of Corrections facilities, sheriff's offices. This is a state-of-the-art facility, air-conditioned, isolated, though, for security purposes, which is very helpful. And I appreciate so many people being willing to work together to make a project like this happen. Right here on this location, we'll have about 3,000 beds. Other location will have another 2,000 beds that will allow us to bring individuals across the country that we are bringing in and incarcerating for violating our laws and immediately get them out of the country as soon as we possibly can. It's exactly what we need to be perpetuating in other states. And what I would say is I want all of you to notice these flyers that we've got. Is that everybody who sees these flyers or anybody who sees these news clips should know you can still go home on your own. You can self-deport. If you go on the CBP Home app and go home now, you will get the chance to come back to the United States legally. You will get the chance to come back and do it the right way. If you don't, you may end up here. And you may end up here and being processed, deported out of this country, and never get the chance to come back. That is the consequences of breaking the law in the United States of America. Listen, our job is to uphold the law. This is a country of laws. We have a border now, and because we have a president that cares and recognizes that we need to be a nation of borders and a nation that upholds the law. If you break the law, there's consequences. We will deport you, and you will never get to be a United States citizen. You'll never even get to come back here and work and to pursue the American dream. But if you decide you want to go home now, go home. And we'll help facilitate it. We'll buy your plane ticket. We'll get you there. In fact, I just got back from Panama, Costa Rica, Guatemala, Honduras. Those countries are excited to get their citizens home. They're setting up programs to loan them money to buy houses when they get there, help them with food assistance, get their children educated, scholarships. They want their citizens that are living here in the United States illegally to come home and to be a part of their economy and help their countries grow. So this is a win-win for everyone, and I just want to end, Mr. President, by thanking our law enforcement officers, by thanking our ICE officers and our Border Patrol officers for what they do every day. They are out on the streets, and violence against them has increased over 500% since Trump has gone back into the White House because he's upholding the law and because a bunch of liberals, socialists, and Marxists are out there lying about what President Trump is doing. President Trump is upholding freedom by what he is doing. The freedom to live safely in this country and to do things legally and to have justice. And because those liberals, and I'm calling out you, CNN, I'm calling you out because you lie every single day about what these operations are. We are going after murderers and rapists and traffickers and drug dealers and getting them off the streets and getting them out of this country because Joe Biden let the worst of the worst come in here. The other day I was talking to some marshals that have been partnering with ICE. They said that they had detained a cannibal and put him on a plane to take him home, and while they had him in his seat, he started to eat himself, and they had to get him off and get him medical attention. These are the kind of deranged individuals that are on our streets in America that we're trying to target and get out of our country because they are so deranged they don't belong here. And they shouldn't be walking the streets with our children. And they shouldn't be living in the communities with our families who just want to grow up go to job, raise their children to grow up and get a job and to live the American dream. So thank you to all of our law enforcement officers, those in our military that have been helping, our National Guard. Thank you to Governor DeSantis for stepping up and being an example to other governors. I hope my phone rings off the hook from governors calling and saying, how can we do what Florida just did? How can we do exactly what they did? Because we need this big, beautiful bill. We absolutely have to have this big, beautiful bill that has the funding so that we can continue this operation and we can get those bad criminals off of our streets and have the officers to do it so that when they go out on an operation, somebody's got their back. Somebody's got their back, they can do it safely, and they can go home to their families at night too. So this bill needs to pass through Congress so we have the resources at the Department of Homeland Security to make sure that our homeland truly is secure. And Mr. President, thank you for Stephen Miller. I just want to thank you for him. This guy calls me night and day and tells me all of his wise advice and wisdom, but he's a rock star because he loves this country and he's passionate about making sure that nobody is prioritized over an American citizen. We love everybody. We do. We love everybody.
Not everybody.
Well,
a lot of people.
But we shouldn't be putting people illegally above citizens. We should be making sure that we do things right, and that's what America has always stood for, and we're an example to the rest of the world because we do it right. So, Mr. President, you surround yourself with great people, and I think that's because everybody wants to work for the greatest president that the United States has ever had, and that's President Donald J. Trump.
Thank
so thank
you
you,
very
sir.
much, Christy. That's
Thank
so
you,
nice.
Peter.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And I have to say that, you know, when Christie's name was put before me by Tom Homan, by the way, because I wanted him for the border, and somehow I thought that was going to be good in that sort. But he didn't want the upper job, and I said, who do you recommend? Christy Noem. I said, oh, are you kidding? She's great, but she's such a fine, elegant person. He said, sir, she's tough as hell. I said, are you sure? You are tough as hell, I tell you, and you do it in a very nice way, but you are, if you ever saw her ride a horse, she rides a horse like she should be in the rodeo. She's like an unbelievable horse person, and you've done a fantastic job, and Steve Miller would even agree to that, and he likes nobody, by the way. I don't think he likes anybody. And another one we like is Ron. And Ron, would you say a few words, please?
Sure. Well, thank you, Mr. President. Welcome back to Florida, and I think this is the first time you've been back since the events of a couple weeks. So just let me say, as somebody that was serving on active duty in Iraq back in the day, we witnessed the number of our troops that were killed or wounded by the Iranians. We know that they're a militant Islamic regime that was hell-bent on getting nuclear weapons, and under Joe Biden, they were about to get nuclear weapons. And because of your strong actions, those dreams and those ambitions have been reduced to rubble. And I thank you. I know a lot of veterans thank you, and people in Florida really thank you for stepping up and really making a strong, tough, but strong decision. I think we're much safer as a result of that. Now, on the immigration, I think President Trump's election represented the chance for us to finally solve this illegal immigration and border problem once and for all. I knew he was going to do the border, although he did it very quickly and very thoroughly. I think that no one can say that that's been anything but a spectacular success. But then we have the issue of Biden let in how many millions of people? And you had millions that had been in over decades previous to that. You can't have a country if you don't have respect for the rule of law. You can't have a country if foreigners get to decide who comes in. No, we, the American people, make that decision, who's allowed or not allowed to come into our country. We've seen Europe be overrun by open borders, so we're not going to let that happen here. So when President got elected, I knew that the states had an important role to play in facilitating this really, really historic mission. We're the only state in America, Florida, that requires full cooperation with ICE from all state and local law enforcement entities. And what is the net result of that? We have these agreements for these 287G task force with sheriff's departments, police departments, state agencies, and it's really instrumental in rounding up a lot of really bad people who shouldn't be here. If you look at the number of those full-blown 287G agreements that have been executed around the country, the state of Florida counts for 60% of those. If you look at the number of immigration arrests of illegal aliens on any given day, the arrests happening in Florida constitute between 15 and 20% nationwide. So we're all in on this because we understand how important it is to our citizens. It crowds schools, it crowds medical, it crowds housing. Yes, you have illegal alien crime as well, and people want the problem solved. And the only way we're going to solve it is if states like Florida step up and help the president, help Secretary Noem get the job done. Now, this facility here was really in response to us working with DHS and ICE from the time the president got sworn in. And the number one thing they kept coming back to was, you know, Biden decimated the agency. I mean, let's just be clear. You could have illegals in Florida. Biden would just release them. Even when they had notices or they had orders to be removed, Biden wouldn't send them back. So their interior enforcement collapsed under Biden. So they're building it back up. But they're like, we need detention space in order to be able to bring about more deportations. And so what we have here can hold 3,000 now. We have 2,000 facility up at Camp Blanding that we're going to be open, which is our National Guard site. But think about what you have here. They come here, say they already or been ordered to be deported. You drive them 2,000 feet to the runway, and then they're gone. It's a one-stop shop. And this airport that's been here for a long time is the perfectly secure location. It's going to make a big difference. And let me just thank everyone who was involved. We got the call from DHS a little bit more than a week ago. And here we are 8 days later with this facility open. And as soon as Air Force One departs, it'll be swept and it'll be open for business to be able to do. But our goal here is to process them and be able to effectuate their return to their home country. This is the opposite of what they were doing in New York by just putting them up in a hotel and then just letting them stay there indefinitely. No, we want to be able to send back. And when you walk into the processing, the president and I, Secretary Noem, Kevin Guthrie, walk through that initial intake, the first thing you see is information on how to go home on your own. Why would you want to come through Alligator Alcatraz if you can just go home on your own? I think a lot of people are going to make that decision. So you're going to have a lot of deportations that are going to be done by the administration, but I think you're going to have a lot of voluntary as well. So this is a force multiplier for the president's efforts. I would just say and echo what Secretary Noem says. There is no reason why other states can't be doing it. And I know Louisiana, Texas, a couple of them. But we've got if only the red states did this, they would be able to expand their capacity by tens of thousands, maybe 50, 100,000 on a given day. That's how you really start to make a difference. And so we're proud to be able to partner with the Trump administration on that. Mr. President, thanks for coming down. I think you highlighting this is going to move the needle in a big way throughout the country. And I think it's going to help all of us achieve the really big results that I think our voters want to see.
Thank you. Great job.
Thanks. Thank you, Mr. President, for the opportunity. My name is Kevin Guthrie. I'm the Executive Director of the Florida Division of Emergency Management. And I'd also like to thank President Trump and the Department of Homeland Security Secretary Noem for joining us here today and for their continued support. I want to thank first by thanking the man to my right, and that's Governor Ron DeSantis, whose bold leadership and swift action made this project possible. Make no mistake, this facility would not be standing here without the President, the Secretary, and the Governor's vision and determination to uphold the rule of law. Florida is and will always be a law and order state. Even before the President took office, the Governor made it clear that illegal immigration would not be tolerated in the state of Florida. When the President and the Secretary asked Florida to help, the Governor empowered our state and private partners to work collaboratively and deliver real results on a rapid timeline. The Florida Division of Emergency Management is best known for leading the nation in hurricane response and other natural disasters. We understand how to act fast without bureaucracy in the face of any emergency. Our teams built roads in 8 hours, bridges in 3 days, base camps in 72 hours, and full causeways in 2 weeks. Getting things done quickly, efficiently, and correctly is at the core of our mission. We simply just want to be the best at what we do in the nation. When the Governor called me, and we answered, and we were proud to bring our logistical expertise to the table. We know how to set up base camps for guardsmen, first responders, linemen, volunteers, and other aid sources, and distribute that in a matter of days before a storm. We're able to translate this knowledge to what we did here at Alligator Alcatraz. Florida has put the best teams together who check their individual logos and egos at the door to get this done. Not just for you, Governor, but Mr. President, for you as well. There are over 13 different vendors that came together to get this solved in 8 days. Truly a whole of private sector partnership to get that done. Behind you on these boards, in only 8 days, we have built a fully compliant detention facility with a detainee capacity of up to 3,000 people, with room for additional capacity if you asked us to do so. The detention facility includes over 158,000 square feet of housing and is a fully aluminum frame structure rated for winds of 110 miles an hour or a high-end Category 2 for those people that don't think that we're taking that into consideration. This is Florida, by the way. Power supply is fully redundant with backup generators in place. We've put a staff village here on site with a capacity of 1,000. Our services are hot meal 3 times a day, 24/7 medical facility, pharmacy, air conditioning, access to indoor and outdoor rec yards, legal and clergy support services, laundry. Our security element is over 200 security cameras throughout the facility, more than 28,000 feet of barbed wire, 400 plus security personnel to include 200 men and women, soldiers and airmen underneath Major General John Haas's command as the Adjutant General of Florida. And it's all surrounded, as you pointed out, Mr. President, by 10 miles of beautiful Florida Everglades. Contingencies, as with all state correctional facilities, we have a hurricane plan. We will not wait for a Cat 2. We will follow our normal evacuation procedures as we do for any other facility statewide in our great state of Florida. We have on-site fire and EMS resources so that we do not we don't burden the locals with any type of response. All in all, sir, this has been a perfect state logistics exercise for this hurricane season. Everything we did here in the last 8 days, God forbid, if we have a hurricane, we're going to do it again. This was a dress rehearsal for us, and we are ready, willing, and able to support you, sir, the governor, secretary, and everything that you need us to do. Just a week ago, it was a taxiway and a runway, and now is a fully functioning facility. We are happy to support you, Mr. President, Governor, Secretary.
Fantastic. Thank you. Byron, please.
It's not working. There it goes.
First of all, Mr. President, we all have to thank you for your leadership and for the mandate that the American people gave you to finally secure our borders and to deport criminal illegal aliens and longstanding illegal aliens out of the United States. That is a mandate given to you by the American people. I know Secretary Noem, Stephen Miller, Governor DeSantis, myself, on behalf of the other members of Congress in the Senate, and of course here in Florida, we are behind you 100% in that mission. To the governor, I really appreciate you and commend you for your leadership on this, taking swift, decisive action to building this facility. One of the things that has occurred because of the work you did earlier this year with the legislature is that our sheriffs are out there every single day. They are arresting these criminal aliens in our streets, and they're seeing some backlog in their jails. So this facility primarily goes to address some of that backlog and then to help us fulfill the mission that the president has led us to. So Governor, thank you for your leadership and thank you for your decisive action on this. It really does mean a lot to all the people of Florida, of course the people of the 19th Congressional District. Secretary Noem, I mean, what can I say? The president's right, you're double tough. So we appreciate all your leadership. You and Tom Homan have been doing a great job. And I'm actually going back to D.C. after this because we have to vote on one big, beautiful bill in the House. We have to get that to the president's desk so we can get you the resources that you need to fulfill the mission that the American people have asked us to do. I totally agree with what Mr. Guthrie has said. This is a logistical marvel when something like this occurs. We've seen Florida Department of Emergency Management answer the bell time and time again. The governor has said we need to accomplish this, and DEM gets that job done. And we had a side conversation about, I know there were some concerns. People were like, well, what happens if a hurricane comes? What happens if this happens? And I looked at Kevin Guthrie and I said, you already have a plan, don't you? And he goes, of course we have a plan. You know that we do. This is what Florida does, Mr. President. And so I want to commend you for your leadership and your vision on this. Governor, thank you for all that you've done with your vision and determination. Secretary Noem, we're going to get the bill done so you get the resources you need. See you, sir.
Thank you very much. Oh, thank you. Wow. Thank you. You know, I'm waiting, listening to these wonderful words, and they are music to my ears, but I was also wondering how we're doing, because I know this is prime time. It shows that I care about you because I'm here and I probably should be there, but we do care. Thank you very much. James, please. We're all happy now, James.
Yeah. Well, I can speak on behalf of all of our sheriffs, state law enforcement, our police chiefs. We are going to continue to make arrests, our pedals to the metal, as many as we can. We want to fill this place up. The governor and Kevin have shown they can build bridges in 3 days, so why not some detention facilities? Hopefully there's more to come. And you really kind of were the inspiration for this. We like the idea of reopening the original Alcatraz. I don't know if that can happen or not, but we thought, hey, we've got our own natural Alcatraz in the middle of the Everglades. Great runway, great perimeter, so let's make it happen. In Florida, we walk the walk, and we will deliver for all of you. Thank you.
Well, I heard you were responsible for the locational pick, and you cannot have picked a better location. I said, whoever the hell made this choice, I know you take it a little heat from some environmental groups, but I take it all the time, and that's an honor. But I heard you were very responsible for that choice, and that was a big choice. Thank you very much. Great job, James. Thank you. Do you want to finish over here, and then we'll go over here? We'll go back and celebrate the big, beautiful bill that you just got passed. You sure that's right, Brian? Yeah, all right. Wow, good. He's doing a good job.
Right.
Wow.
Got a headache
Mr.
and
President, first of all,
make me feel
how
nauseous.
grateful we are that you're back here in your home state of Florida. You've been doing an
I'm gonna eat
amazing
something,
job,
see if that
not
helps.
only at our border, but around the world, keeping this country safe and Americans. We are grateful for your leadership. God had a plan for us, and it was Donald Trump. So thank you for that. As a member of the Immigration Board and as the Commissioner of Agriculture of this state, I've been happy to help lead with the governor and the rest of the cabinet on this issue. We're very proud, Secretary Noem's here today and others, to represent not only the United States in our efforts to make this commitment to keep our citizens safe, but we're going to continue in Florida to remove the barriers to have your vision come true of a safe United States. We're going to get these illegals, the illegal criminals out of this state, and we really appreciate you and your leadership in this effort. So thank you for being here
Thank you
today.
very much. You're doing a great job, too. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. President. Joe Gruters, State Senator. I'm a member of your Homeland Security Advisory Council, your Vice Chairman. Thank you for that appointment. And thank you for coming back to Florida and everything that you do. Every single day you are delivering on the promises that you promised to us at all of the events you've done throughout the years, but specifically this last campaign. You deserve all the credit for everything, and you are surrounding yourself with incredible people like Secretary Noem, Stephen Miller, and just like your big, beautiful bill here in Florida, there was a lot of commotion about our immigration bill. And we had 3 B's in that: beds, badges, and bad guys. And this goes right along with our beds and the resources. And I give the governor, Ron DeSantis, a lot of credit for stepping up and making sure that we all work together, because at the end of the day, even if sometimes there are skirmishes, as a result of the back and forth, we ended up with a better bill, and we all win. And what we're doing here in Florida hopefully will happen all across the country. You've done, your leadership is amazing. Keep up the great work, and just know that Florida loves President Donald J. Trump.
Thank you very much, Joe. Appreciate it for a long time. Appreciate it. By the way, Okeechobee is something that we did together also, and that was a
This
lot
is
of
just
money
a
spent.
Blaze session, huh?
I hope it was well spent. I know they did. We did a Rolls-Royce job, but it's a lot of money that we spent out there together. And how is it going?
You can delegate that to us, because we move faster than the Army Corps.
Good.
So we will finish that reservoir.
Good.
If you delegate it to us, I'll get it done and much quicker.
Oh, I would do that.
Yeah.
I'll tell you. Let me ask myself permission. Permission granted. Go ahead, get the thing, get it complete. You want to do
All right,
that?
we're gonna go talk
Go
to the
ahead,
Army
do it.
Corps then after this.
Make it
You
so.
can go faster. Excellent. Please.
I think it. Oh,
Sir, just first on behalf of the men and women of ICE, we just want to thank you for allowing us to do our job again. You know, your vision and under Secretary Noem's leadership, this is what the American people want. And I hope that you see great results of what we're doing out there every day, getting the worst of the worst out of our communities. Because of you and Secretary Noem, I have the privilege to lead one of the most premier and the finest law enforcement agencies that we do have in the United States. And the men and women of HSI and ERO Miami do incredible work like you highlighted. And with the governor and the state of Florida, the partnership in Florida has been amazing. The 287G program is only going to help us to identify all those known gotaways and get the worst of the worst out of the neighborhoods. And through our Homeland Security Task Force, we are going to make America safe again. So thank you very much to both you and the Secretary.
Thank you, Todd. Great job. Really great job you're doing. Thank you. Please.
Good morning, Mr. President. Thank you so much for coming. Again, as Garrett Ripp, I'm the Field Office Director for ICE Euro here for the Miami Field Office. Incredible collaborative work we've been doing together, working with the state, working with our local partners. And again, just the 287G is going to open up that aperture and allow us to get those bad hombres off the street and get them into this facility. And we're looking forward to it. And again, just appreciate all your support.
Thank you. Always thank you. You've always been so great. Thank you very much. Please.
Good afternoon, Mr. President. On behalf of Air Marine Operations, my name is Andres Blanco. I'm the Executive Director for Southeast Region. AMO continues to execute and support your executive orders. Air Marine Operations brings a unique capability both in the air and the maritime domains. And in partnership with our Border Patrol, OFO officers, and ERO, we continue to conduct effective operations both interior, along the border, and along the maritime approaches.
Thank you very much. Good job.
Good afternoon, Mr. President. Jose Figueroa. I am the Acting Special Agent in charge for Homeland Security Investigations here in South Florida, and our office covers from Key West to Fort Pierce. Tremendous collaboration here with the state and our federal partners. HSI is conducting criminal investigations into TDA, MS-13s that are involved in human smuggling, sex trafficking of minors, and we will continue that effort with your support. Governor DeSantis, thank you very much for this facility. Looking forward to continue the great work. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Steve, would you like to say something? Our star.
Thank you, Mr. President. I just want to say on a personal note, getting to watch what you've done over the last 5 months to deliver on a 50-year hope and dream of the American people to secure the border. When President Trump came into office on January 20th, the United States had endured the largest wave of illegal immigration in human history. Not just American history, human history. And within just a few days, President Trump, through his strength, leadership, diplomacy, and vision, achieved the most secure border anyone in the world has ever seen. When we recently went overseas to the NATO summit, I had senior staff in foreign governments come up to me and ask me how he achieved the Trump miracle on his border and could that be replicated in their countries. For individuals who don't work in this space, to have 0 successful illegal entries in an entire month should be an impossible achievement. There's a 2,000-mile border with one of the poorest countries in the world, and you have open travel from 150 countries into Central America and South America. There are 2 billion people in the world that would economically benefit from illegally coming to the United States. And through the deployment of the military, through the deployment of novel legal and diplomatic tools, through the building of physical infrastructure, through the empowering of ICE and Border Patrol and the entire federal law enforcement apparatus, President Trump achieved absolute border security. And now, once this legislation is passed, he will be able to make that with those resources permanent. Watching what you've done, sir, has been one of the honors of a lifetime. I'm proud to be able to play any role in it. And what President Trump is going to achieve next with the resources in this bill will make America safer, stronger, freer, more sovereign, and more prosperous than it has ever been before. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Steve. Oh. Thank you. And the bill is going to be great for Iran. It's going to be great for Florida, too. A lot of set-asides for Florida, some of the things that you wanted to do. And so it's great news to hear that it was approved. Do you want to take a few questions, Ron? We'll take a few questions from these. Yeah, please, go ahead. Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. President. Given
the likelihood of the One Big Beautiful Bill passing, and we look forward to the success of this facility here. How many more facilities like this do you feel that the country needs in order to enact your agenda of mass deportations?
Well, I think we'd like to see them in many states, really, many states. This one, I know Ron's doing a second one, at least a second one, and probably a couple of more. And, you know, at some point they might morph into a system where you're going to keep it for a long time. You know, it's not that far away from jails that take years to build, and money is spent and wasted. And, you know, like the railway that they have in California that costs like 40 times more than it was supposed to cost. The same things happens with prisons. You look at this in a short period of time. Ron, James, and some of the people that really worked on it along with our people, they did this in less than a week. And you look at it, it's incredible. The incredible thing is picking the site, because the site was one of the most natural sites. It might be as good as the real Alcatraz site. You know, it could be. Well, that's a spooky one too, isn't it? Huh? That's a tough site. But so I think it could last as long as they want to have it. I mean, you may morph this into, you know, your prison system, frankly, which I know you always need, unfortunately. I'd like to say, you know, a little controversial, but I couldn't care less. We have a lot of bad criminals that came into this country, and they came in stupidly. It was an unforced error. It was an incompetent president that allowed it to happen. It was an auto pen maybe that allowed it to happen, and it did happen. But we also have a lot of bad people that have been here for a long time, people that whack people over the head with a baseball bat from behind when they're not looking and kill them, people that knife you when you're walking down the street. They're not new to our country. They're old to our country. Many of them were born in our country. I think we ought to get them the hell out of here, too. You want to know the truth. So maybe that'll be the next job that we'll work on together. But I think getting them out, you know, we forget about them. We had some bad accidents in New York. They're not accidents. They were done very much on purpose. People being pushed into a subway just before it arrives, going 40 miles an hour. And they're 10 feet away from where the thing is. You get pushed right into the face of the subway train, get whacked and killed. These are sick people. I'd like to get them out of here, too. Yeah, please, go ahead. White shirt, glasses.
Julio Rosas, Blaze Media, sir. A couple months ago, I ran into former DHS Secretary Mayorkas, and I asked him a couple questions about his disastrous handling of the border. He didn't like my questions. But the number one question that I heard from people in responding to my video was, why hasn't he been arrested yet? You know, obviously you guys are cleaning up the mess that was made deliberately for the past 4 years, and so people want accountability. It's great to see that the border is secured, and it's great to see the state level cooperation. But I guess I would ask
we want to see people arrested.
Why hasn't he been held accountable, or anybody? Really?
Well, you know, pardons were given out by to many people, and they shouldn't have been given out. Like the Unselect Committee of Political Thugs was given a pardon because they destroyed all of the information from 2 years of hearings, and they should be arrested, but they were given pardons. Was he given a pardon, Mayorkas? Was he not?
I don't believe so.
Well,
sir.
I'd take a look at that one, because what he did is it's beyond incompetence. Something had to be done. Now, with that being said, he took orders from other people, and he was really doing the orders. And you could say he was very loyal to them, because
one of the biggest traitors to our country,
Mayorkas, to stand up and sit up and talk about what he allowed to happen to this country, and be serious about it. So he was given orders. If he wasn't given a pardon, I could see looking at that. In fact, why don't you take a look at it, Kristen? He was impeached, but yeah, it was just a fake impeachment. It was a fake impeachment. Why don't you take a look at it? I think he was so bad. They were all so bad. Look, it was the worst president in the history of our country. We've had some bad ones, but he was the worst president. But somebody told Mayorkas to do that, and he followed orders, but that doesn't necessarily hold him harmless. So take a look at it. It's a very good question, actually. Thank you. Yeah, please. Go ahead.
Mr. President, you and the Secretary have both said that many people have self-deported since you came back into office. Yeah. How many is many, and has the rate gone up? How do you see the tempo of that moving forward going on?
We have had several 100,000, but also we have many that have self-deported, not even using the CBP Home app. When I have gone to these other countries to negotiate security agreements and information sharing on criminals who's coming and going into their countries, they report that hundreds of thousands have come home that weren't on our radar, that they are coming home on their own and self-deporting because they want the chance to be able to go back to America someday. So we believe it's over 1 million, possibly more than that. I'm asking all of those countries for their information on what they have of individuals that may have returned home, that they have taking advantage of their programs to help them become a part of their civilization again too. So we know it's over 1 million, but we have to, I'm getting more information and that number will grow.
If they don't leave, they never get the chance to come back. If we have to take them out, and we will, they'll go out, but they never get a chance to come back. The other way, we actually make it a little bit easier for them to come back. Okay? Thank you. Good question. Thank you.
The bill is now passed in the Senate, but we are already hearing from some Republicans in the House who say they cannot get on board with the changes that were made to the bill in the Senate. What is your message to those holdouts?
Well, I just heard that about the Senate, and the bill just passed, and it tells you there's something for everyone. I mean, it's a great bill. There is something for everyone, and I think it's going to go very nicely in the House. Actually, I think it will be easier in the House than it was in the Senate.
And just to be clear, on the Medicaid cuts, you've promised not to cut Medicaid, said this is all just targeting waste, fraud, and abuse. Are you saying that the estimated 11.8 million people who could lose their health coverage, that is all waste, fraud, and abuse?
No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying it's going to be a very much smaller number than that, and that number will be waste, fraud, and abuse. And if you look, they took a much more liberal stance on the Medicaid situation than they could have. They had a tough stance and a weak stance. They took not a very strong stance on that to start off, and it's waste, fraud, and abuse, and everybody wants that covered.
What number is that? What analysis are you seeing?
I'm not seeing a number, but I know it's much less than the number you gave. And we really were very, very cognizant of three things. Social Security, we're going to take care of it beautifully. Medicare and Medicaid, and we are going to save it, whereas the Democrats are going to, you won't have it. They will destroy Medicare and Medicaid, and they have to because their numbers don't work. So it's not going to happen. They're the ones that have destroyed Medicare. They have made it so bad already, they're going to make it a lot worse. But now we'll be in charge, so we're going to have no problem with Medicaid or Medicare or Social Security. Thank you. Yeah.
Claire Gall with Wink News in Fort Myers. What is your direction to ICE when it comes to arresting farm workers here illegally, other workers in industries that are pretty critical to Florida's economy?
Yeah. Well, we're very much cognizant of that. And as you know, I won the farmers by 92%, and I'm not going to be abandoning my farmers. We were strong on the borders, but we're also strong for the farmers and for others in the hotel industry, et cetera. You know, we have similar situations. And Christy and I, and we'll be working with Ron and a lot of the states. We're going to work something where the farmers can be responsible for some of the people they have people around for 10, 15 years that they know very well. We're going to put them responsible and we're going to issue a form of a card or document, and the farmer's going to be responsible for these people. They're not going to have citizenship, but they'll be working, they'll be paying taxes. We need to get our farmers the people they need, otherwise our farmers aren't going to be able to do their land. You know, it was tried once before, many, many years ago, where there was a very strong guy, and he got everybody out, and every farm almost in the country, but every farm in California, every farm in Iowa, almost all the farms went bankrupt. They had nobody to work, and we don't want to have that situation. So we're going to work it. We're going to put our farmers and others in charge of the people that they have under them. They know the people, and I think it's going to work out really well. We're going to take care of our farmer, but we're going to get the criminals out. Okay? Yeah, go ahead, please.
Thank you. Mr. President, how do you respond to critics who fear that a 3,000-bed detention center and the waste that could produce will pollute the surrounding federal protected land, including land that both administrations have invested billions of dollars in restoring?
Well, I was one of those that invested billions of dollars and hundreds of millions of dollars right here in the Meadowlands, but in the Everglades, and the Meadowlands too in New York. If you look at what we did up there, speaking of the Meadowlands, a lot of places like this, but this is a very unique one. One thing I'll say about this land, we'll be gone 1 million years and this land is still going to be here. It's not going to be much different. You'll have the water moccasins, you'll have the alligators. You may not have people, but you're going to have all those animals. They're going to be around, and you got plenty of them out here. I think it was a brilliant choice, and I think almost anybody in his or her right mind would say this was a brilliant choice. I give the governor a lot of credit for using this piece of land. And in addition to that, it's on top of something that was already developed. It's an airport. You know, you have the runways, you have so it's already been developed. So it's not like you're dropping dirt right into the thing. There was zero movement of that. That was done many years ago because the airport's very old, but it was an abandoned railroad, an abandoned airport. And frankly, it's like perfect. And you can do expansion on this site substantially without doing anything. So the people, I heard them complaining about the Everglades. There's no, I don't think you've done anything to the Everglades. I think you're just enhancing it. This was already here. How long has the airport been here?
Decades.
Many decades, yeah.
And they have, Kevin, all these guys, you know, have a waste plan, like the wastewater gets trucked out, potable water gets, literally, they have, even our DOT has put things up in case there's any seepage, which we don't. So you are literally doing this on concrete that's already here. So I don't think those are valid and even good faith criticisms, because it's not going to impact the Everglades at all. President's been a champion, we've been a champion, really changed the game in Florida on it. I think it's just people don't want to see illegal immigrants deported, and that's their ideology, and they have a right to that. But illegal immigration's unpopular, so they know that they're going to have less effect. So they're going to try, oh, well, no, it's just about the Everglades. But really, I think a lot of those people, they just don't want to see illegals deported. Because if you actually hear, everyone's here, you obviously know there's zero land that's being disturbed.
Yeah. Well, you know, when we talk about popularity, though, I will say I ran on the issue of illegals, and we have to get them out. And I won 82% on that issue. So I think that they may not like certain aspects of it, but ultimately they do not want them in their country. And if this is a part of a use, but I think from an environmental standpoint, it's incredible. In fact, when we landed that very big, heavy plane today, they came out and checked it fairly. You know, I think they want the president to be able to land on a piece of concrete that's not going to go 6 feet underground. And they checked it. They came back and they said, this thing is really solid. So it's been there a long time. It's going to be here a long time, and it was a great choice of a site. Thank you. Yes, please. Brian, go ahead.
Yes, sir. The people of Syria were recently seen on the streets waving American flags, chanting Trump, Trump, Trump. They're so appreciative of the economic sanctions that was lifted on that country, giving them a little bit of hope for prosperity. You want to comment on that?
Well, they're great people, and the man that is leading them has a reputation. You know, he's the head of some pretty tough organizations, and a lot of people criticized me for that. I said, well, what are we going to do, take him out of a day school, a country day school? It's going to be, by nature, I would think, Ron, they'll be pretty tough, and he is pretty tough, but I think I met him, spent a lot of time with him, good guy. I took off the sanctions because if I didn't do that, they wouldn't have had a chance. And Syria has a chance. You know, the people are great. They work hard. They're very smart. It used to be a place of professionals, accountants and lawyers and doctors and high academic credentials in that part of the world. And I think it's going to work out great. I took off the sanctions, and they were very appreciative. They were shocked, but they were very appreciative. We're giving them a chance at survival. With the sanctions, it couldn't have worked. Thank you.
Mr. President, your beloved New York City may well be led by a communist soon, Zorhan Mandami, who in his nomination speech said he will defy ICE and will not allow ICE to arrest criminal aliens in New York City. Your message to communist Zorhan Mandami.
Well, then we'll have to arrest him. Look, we don't need a communist in this country, but if we have one, I'm going to be watching over him very carefully on behalf of the nation. We send him money. We send him all the things that he needs to run a government. And by the way, they get about 3 times what you get, Ron. If you look at the per capita, Florida gets 1/3 of what New York gets in terms of the numbers. Why don't you give us those numbers?
Yeah, well,
because that's what we should send him.
Yeah, well, like sometimes people say Florida gets more because they count Social Security recipients, but that's not money to the state. Those are seniors that live here. If they moved to North Carolina, you could count it there. So it has no interaction with the state government. They get more in the city and state governments than we get.
Right, substantially. We're going to be watching that very carefully, and a lot of people are saying he's here illegally. We're going to look at everything, and ideally. He's going to turn out to be much less than a communist. But right now, he's a communist. That's not a socialist. You know, I've always said, we will not have socialism in this country. In the speeches, I said, well, what? They skipped socialism. And you got a lot of them like that. And you see AOC, she's out there with her, bad IQ. She's out there ranting and raving about how wonderful he is. And look, so far he's winning. He still has a race to win, but so far he's winning, and he has an advantage as a Democrat in New York City. I was there a long time ago, and it was a long time since a Republican won the city. But you would think that a Republican would be able to win. Or you have a good independent running, Mayor Adams, who's a very good person. I helped him out a little bit. He had a problem, and he was unfairly hurt over this question. He made a statement to the effect that this is terrible. New York City can't have all these immigrants come in. And like he was indicted the following day. And I said, that was a phony indictment. And it was a phony indictment. That was a Biden indictment. I said, don't feel bad. I got indicted 5 times. Every time you opened your mouth. That was a bad group. That was a very dangerous group, I will tell you. These were not nice people. That was the only thing they could do. They had no policy. They had no skill. They had no anything. But they were very good at that. They were vicious, vicious, horrible people. Thank you very much. Yeah, please, go ahead.
Anna Giratelli with Washington Examiner. Governor DeSantis has proposed using National Guard, deputizing them as immigration judges to get through this massive backlog of people in the immigration court. Would you be open to that?
Yes, he has my approval. Okay. That wasn't too hard to get, was it? Front. He didn't even have to ask me, James. You didn't even need James to ask me. He has my approval, okay? Good. I also like what he's doing in Okeechobee. He has my approval for that, too. I don't know how we work that out, but we'll work it out.
We'll follow up.
Go ahead. Please.
President Trump, Jake Stofan with Action News Jax from up in Jacksonville.
I need to rest after
there's
this.
some
I'm
talk
feeling good
about
at all.
a facility similar to this up in Camp Blanding. Has that been approved by DHS? If not, what's the timeline? When could we see ground break on that?
Well, I'll ask Ron or James to talk about it. Do you want to mention it, James?
The overarching plan, I think the secretary has said she supports the whole plan, so you guys are going to keep going. Yeah.
So, Mr. President, just specifically, the response for proposals is out for that today. It closes, I can't even remember what day of the week it is, but it closes on Wednesday at 5 o'clock. Then we will do notice to proceed. So I would say right after our wonderful Independence Day, we will be starting construction there at that facility.
You're going to have another big runway there, too.
It's almost 4th of July.
I love these runways.
Today's the 1st.
It's very convenient, I must say. Having a runway is a nice thing. Today you don't get runways approved, I will tell you. It's tough to get a runway. Although in the age of Trump, you get them approved fast, We're approving massive electrical bins, what they call them bins, but big electrical facilities for all of the factories and the AI that's coming in. They're going to build their own electric. They're going to be really... they're going to be made into electrical providers. They're going to have a lot left over. They'll put it into the grid. I think, they're going to end up doing so much. They'll put it into the grid. Won't even cost anything from their standpoint. So we have a lot of that happening. We get approvals fast. But I was just saying, runways are hard to get, but we'll get them now. But in the past, I would say over the past 30, 40 years, when you can get a runway, that was considered gold. Okay, please, go ahead. Go ahead. Sure. Okay, go ahead. Yes.
President Trump, Laverne McGee, News 6, Orlando. You have fulfilled several campaign promises, along with the help of Governor Ron DeSantis. What is the next campaign promise that you plan to fulfill to the American people?
So, we have turned this country around in less than 6 months. And when I was away, and I was telling Ron, I was telling some others, I've said it a little publicly, I guess, but I met a lot of very important people. The King of Saudi Arabia, I was there 2 weeks ago, and Qatar, the leader of Qatar, who's great, and the leader of UAE, who's great. These are very substantial people, very smart people, and good people. And all three of them said essentially the same thing, along with many other people, because I just left NATO. NATO's we took it up to 5%. Nobody can believe that one run. That would be hard, but nobody believes that. What happened in NATO, over $1 trillion a year from like nothing. It was an honor. But every leader said that a year ago, this country was dead. They had no confidence in the United. They really felt it was a dead country, and it was some bad things were going to happen. But they used the term, it was a dead country, and now they said you have the hottest country anywhere in the world. We're the hottest country in the world right now.
Nice.
And we turned it around fast. I thought it would take longer than this. We turned it around fast. Some of it was psychology, and we had to know how good we were. But others was getting rid of rules, regulations, and all of the things that I got rid of already. I signed more executive orders than anybody in history, times like 3 or 4. And I got rid of just one. I got rid of the other night. You buy a house, they have a faucet in the house, Joe, and the faucet, the water doesn't come out. They have a restrictor. You can't, in areas where you have so much water, they don't know what to do with it. You have a shower head, the shower doesn't, you think it's not working. It is working. The water's dripping out. And that's no good for me. I like this hair nice and, I like that hair nice and wet. You have to stand in the shower for 20 minutes before you get the soap out of your hair. And I put a thing in, and it sounds funny, but it's really not. It's horrible. And when you wash your hands, you turn on the faucet, no water comes out. You're washing, the water barely comes out. This was done by crazy people. And I wrote it all off and got it approved in Congress so that they can't just change it. Because I did it in my first term, everyone was so happy. And then one of the first things that Biden did when he came back is he put the restriction on showers, toilets, and sinks. Put this restriction, and washing machines. Washing machine, they give you like a quarter of this bottle to do your clothing. And people needed 10 of these bottles. And the people came to me from Whirlpool, they said, we can't make a machine that's competitive. We can't make a machine and it doesn't work. Why? They don't let us use water. Do you have any problems with water? No, we have so much we don't know what to do with it. You know, it comes down from heaven, right? And I approved all of that, the washing machines, the whole thing. The dishwashers, that was the other one. They give you like this much water right up to there to do your dishes. So people, you know what they do? They keep pressing the button. So they end up doing the dishes 10 times. They end up using more water than you would have used if you did it right in the first place. So all of that stuff has been written off. It sounds crazy. It's little things. The straw, I let you go back to a plastic straw. I was tired of having straws melt in my mouth, you know? It wasn't working. The paper wasn't working too well. So these are little things that I did. Then we have the big things. We have the biggest things, and that has to do with some of the subjects we're talking now. I think the things we're talking about now are the biggest, because if you don't have borders in this country, borders and good elections, and we're working on that next. There's some bills coming in that's going to make sure that you're a citizen, that people aren't counted in the voting when, you know, they were here and they're here as illegals and they're criminals in many cases, and they give them a count, and you end up with extra congressmen. We're going to work on that. We're going to straighten that out next. That's going to be easy compared to what we were doing. But we did the big things too. But little things like that, a straw, little things like a washing machine with no water. People go out, they spend all their money on a washing machine. The damn thing doesn't work. You can't use the water. Then you go to your sink and that doesn't work either. You're stuck. You know what you do?
That'd be
you have
so
dirty
frustrating.
plates the next day. That's it. And we solved so many common sense problems. And they weren't easy. You know, there are people that really believe in this stuff. But, you know, most states have so much water they don't know what to do with it. And look at North Carolina. I mean, they had a lot of water. And they have to get restrictors on their, you know, on their kitchen faucets. So we're very proud of the things we did, and we're going to do a lot more of them. Yeah, please, go ahead. You guys in good shape.
Hey, it's Eric Bowling. How you doing, sir? Something we've talked about for, I'd say, better part of 20 years. I think it's something near and dear to your heart, energy, our energy security. Under Joe Biden, average price of oil for the 4 years was about $79 a barrel. He drained the SPR halfway down, promised to replenish it, never did.
Right.
Under you, first term, $53 average price for 4 years. Biden was $78 for 8 years. It was never refilled. The question is now it's $64 or so.
Yeah.
What
coming down rapidly.
Coming down, and what a great opportunity to fix another one of Joe Biden's problems, one of the things he broke in America, giving us the energy security of an emergency SPR,
Sure.
fill it to, maybe even go beyond and fill it to 1 billion barrels this time at a much cheaper price. Thoughts on the energy sector?
So it holds 77 million barrels, and we had it up to the top, if you remember. And I was proud of that, and I made a deal to buy it at the lowest price of oil. It was a good deal, good instinct. And we filled it up, and when he came in, he started using it to keep oil prices down because he blew our energy policy out. Energy and his bad spending is what caused inflation. So now we have no inflation.
Gasoline just hit $1.99 today in 5 states. $1.99, isn't that a nice sound? It was up to $4, and going up to 5, 6, and 7. In California, it was $7.70. But we just hit in five states $1.99, $1.98. And it's coming down to that level, so that'll be a big thing. And one of the reasons the prices and costs are going down when you go to the supermarket, because I said I was going to get costs down. We're getting the costs down. Food is coming down. When I came out, my first week, if you remember, I had a lunatic reporter screaming at me saying, eggs are going through the roof. What are you going to do about eggs? I said, I just got here. I didn't know anything about eggs. I had to call you. I said, look, I just got here. Tell me the problem. Well, they're doubled in price, and they're going to be 5 or 6 times higher. They were right, actually. I said, let me work on it. And now we have eggs down to the same numbers it was when I first came in. You know, we lowered the cost of groceries. A simple word like that, groceries, it was like almost a strange word. I hadn't heard the word in so long, but what could be more beautiful than the word grocery? And we have the prices way down. We have the energy way down. Energy brought the groceries down, if you want to know the truth. And, you know, so we think we're going to get it lower, and we're going to fill up the it's called the Strategic National Reserves. I had it topped out, and this guy would use them every time before the election. He'd use them whenever they had an election. It was artificial. But believe it or not, as big as that, tens of hundreds of
reserves,
millions of barrels of oil, all filled up at low prices. But it was really meant for wars, and it wasn't meant for keeping your prices down during a holiday so that somebody could get elected. But they used it, and they didn't bring it. The only mistake you made, they didn't bring it a little down. They brought it right down to the bottom. The thing is practically empty. They never filled it up. They never spent 10 cents in filling it up. And we'll do that. When the market is right, we'll fill it up. I want to fill it up when the market's right. Thank you. How about one more question? Okay, please, in the back.
Dana Marie McNichol, Fox News Channel. Mr. President, is there an expected time frame that detainees will spend here, days, weeks, months? And does that have anything to do with the immigration judges you just spoke about being trained and staffed here?
When you say, what was the first part of your question?
Is there a specific time frame you expect the detainees to spend here? Days, weeks, months?
In Florida?
Yes, here at Alligator Alcatraz.
I'm going to spend a lot. Look, this is my home state. I love it. I love your government. I love all the people around. These are all friends of mine. They know me very well. I mean, I'm not surprised that they do so well. They're great people. Ron has been a friend of mine for a long time. I feel very comfortable in the state. I'll spend a lot of time here. I want to, you know, for 4 years, I've got to be in Washington, and I'm okay with it because I love the White House. I even fix up the little Oval Office. I make it, it's like a diamond. It's beautiful. It's so beautiful. It wasn't maintained properly, I will tell you that. But even when it wasn't, it was still the Oval Office, so it meant a lot. But I'll spend as much time as I can here. You know, my vacation is generally here because it's convenient. I live in Palm Beach. It's my home. And I have a very nice little place, nice little cottage to stay at.
He's just going on.
But we have a lot of fun, and I'm a big contributor to Florida. You know, pay a lot of tax, and a lot of people move from New York, and I don't know what New York is going to do. A lot of people moved to Florida from New York, and it was for a lot of reasons, but one of them was taxes. The taxes are so high in New York, they're leaving. I don't know what New York's going to do about that, because some of the biggest wealthiest people and some of the people that pay the most taxes of any people anywhere in the world, for that matter, they're moving to Florida and other places. So we're going to have to help some of these states out, I think. But thank you very much. I'll be here as much as I can. Very nice question. With that, I'd like
that
to
wasn't her question.
End by saying I want to thank Ron and James and all of the people that have done such a great job, all of your staff.
I don't think that was on purpose. I think
really
he just didn't
fantastic
hear
work.
her.
And it really started with site selection. You can do a great job, but if you have the wrong site in real estate, you have the wrong site, you're dead. And this was a great site selection, despite what you may read in the environmental press. Good job. And this was an honor for Christy and myself and Steve and all of our people to be here.
That was funny.
And I also appreciate the media. They've treated us very fairly. Over the last few weeks, I've been treated very nicely. And it's so unusual. I'm not used to it,
they're gonna flip out that he didn't answer
accolades.
that
Brian,
question
I want to
properly.
thank you for calling out, because I was waiting here.
He's
I knew
senile.
the vote was taking place, and I'm answering questions, right? So I want to thank
The
you
most
very much.
senile
and say hello
president.
to our
He's
friend.
losing his mind.
And I will see a lot of you. Thank you very much. We're going to make America great again. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you.
That's cool. Alligator Alcatraz. Gotta love it. All right. Let's check out the DisAlgorithm some more. He tried to kill his own vice president. Do you think he cares about you? He didn't try to kill him, dumbass. Some people were very upset calling him a traitor. It wasn't him trying to kill him. That's so stupid. Ever wonder why some people see MAGA as a family and what you can do to help pull family and friends out? Take a look at this very important conversation with the founder of Leaving MAGA. Oh my gosh. Breaking free from MAGA. How I made myself retarded. That's stupid. I'm gonna look at that later. Maybe it'll be interesting just to see how crazy they are.
Awake, and still the bill isn't done. Still we haven't. So it's about 6 a.m. We've been voting all night. Members are half awake, and still the bill isn't done. Still we haven't seen final text. It's because the Republicans can't come to agreement. And why? Because there are any number of them that know this is a terrible bill. Some don't want to explode the debt. Others don't want to cut their own constituents off of Medicaid or cut food assistance to their own constituents, but they're willing, it seems, to cut a deal and maybe protect their constituents from going hungry, but make others in the country go hungry. It just seems so wrong. It just seems just awful. And
not happening.
Get over how selfish this is. How we're borrowing from our kids so we can make these tax cuts happen. But at this point, it's anybody's guess.
I don't know why this guy hasn't been arrested.
Deal.
He lied so many times in front of Congress.
And go back.
Remember when he was reading the...
Hard to imagine coming up.
He was reading the transcript of the deposition during the impeachment, and he was just making up stuff when he was reading the, what do you call it? Like the witness's testimony. That was crazy. How come he's not arrested for that? He's just all, oh, I was just being hyperbolic or dramatic. It's like you were reading it into Congress as a you know, a legal deposition, and you were falsely quoting what the person was saying. So crazy. Well, anyways, I gotta cut it short. I'm not feeling good. Yeah, we learned maybe it's not such a good idea to accept gifts from other countries. So that's something. Let's see what Rand Paul's saying.
Without question. Senator from Kentucky. In deciding whether to vote for the big, not so beautiful bill, I've asked a very specific question. Will the deficit be more or less next year? The answer, without question, is this bill will grow the deficit. The federal government has fancy formulas and hundreds of wonky accountants who inform us of their projections over 10 years. But you often can't trust these projections. In an excellent piece written by the Foundation for Economics and Education entitled "The CBO's Projections Are Worse Than Useless," Eric Schuler writes, long-term analysis and language is commonplace in U.S. national politics, but it achieves no useful outcome. It confuses far more than it clarifies. It does not provide accurate estimates of long-term results. It does not improve the average voter's understanding of policy effects. And it gives politicians a means to claim they are being fiscally responsible without actually ever exercising any prudence whatsoever. Sometimes the predictions are off because a new Congress is elected and changes the law. Eric Schuler writes that for any projection of a 10-year budget to be accurate, the Congressional Budget Office has to assume that the law won't change for 10 years, even as most of the politicians that make the laws risk being replaced every 2 years, and all of them advocate for changes of one stripe or another. Schuler states that few in Washington will admit Congress has a knack for starting any proposed cuts in the later years, while letting spending run wild in the immediate future. Sometimes these
I
predictions...
can't listen to that whole thing. Yeah, it's going to increase the deficit. That's not good, but hopefully some good things happen from this bill. Hopefully it gets passed. I want to see all the tax cuts that are going to happen. I want to see the no tax on tips and the no tax on overtime. That should be good. But let's see. Senator Elizabeth Warren just revealed the bill is even worse than we thought. They've revised it. It's not 16 million who will lose their health care. It's 20 million. Yeah, sure. Oh my gosh, the sky is falling. Oh no. Bunch of liars. You, ma'am, are not in India. Please put your headdress or your headpiece down. Evil ages you. He doesn't look old. He looks pissed off. He's 39 and he's 56. And he looks really young. Evil ages you, folks. He just looks pissed off. And being pissed off does age you. But he don't look that old. He's just a baldy. Just a baldy. Like me. Alright. I got a call there. I need some rest. I'm not feeling good. I need to work later, so we'll get out of the DisAlgorithm. We learned a few things. The deficit's going to go up. Accepting a jet from Qatar, maybe, yeah, we shouldn't be accepting gifts like that from any foreign countries. Because then just all the countries are going to start giving gifts to the president, and then you don't know what that's buying them. So what kind of access and goodwill that's going to buy them with the president and influence and everything. So that's not good. Deficit going up's not good. That causes more inflation. Hopefully we can get prices down with some of the stuff that's in the bill and have people keep more of their own money, and that will kind of counteract some of that. But Alligator Alcatraz, that's pretty funny. I think it's a good idea. So. Anyways, I'll end it there. I'll be back on tomorrow. You guys take care. Have a good day. I'll talk to you later. Bye.
Some truths will be hilarious, others painful. But we must be free. We must break into the DisAlgorithm.